up, y'all?
Hello.
This is me, Brian J's Nerd Talk, and my friend Steve right here.
This is Steve from Steve's Nerd Talk.
Yeah,
Brian J.
look at the camera. Look at the camera, Steve. There you go. All right.
Okay.
So this is us. We're going to talk about the Xbox showcase and Final Fantasy 16. But first thing I want to talk about is Final Fantasy 16.
First thing we're talking about is Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Right. I know it's not an Xbox showcase thing per se, unless
It's
you did the Grubhub or was it Grubhub the food delivery thing.
Yeah.
Now,
It's
I want to talk about it because the demo is out right now. Well, it was out yesterday. I guess yesterday, the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
And having had a chance to play it, the game, graphic-wise, story-wise, because it's Final Fantasy, story is always perfect most of the time.
Give me a second.
Oh, you're having an issue now?
Yeah, I know. It's not going on right. I don't know why. Well, that's not going to work. Okay. I'll use my iPad. Sorry, y'all. Technical difficulties.
Difficulties on Brian Jason. But for Final Fantasy 16, I played the demo. I've played it twice, yesterday and today. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say it. I've got to say it. The game is phenomenal. Like, I know people are saying, don't pre-order just yet. Don't pre-order games until they're done or whatnot. However, when it comes to games, you should always be skeptical. Final Fantasy 16 is a game where I know many people are skeptical and they are hesitant because it goes away from the turn-based style of Final Fantasy that we all love. I'm a little upset about that. However, the game is phenomenal. I will say that. It feels like a Final Fantasy game. Bosses, enemies have that health bar that they're supposed to have. You can't hit them with just one hand, they're gone. I would hope not. I'm only a demo, so I'm not getting to explore that area. However, it is phenomenal. The boss battles feel like boss battles. When it comes to certain bosses, that it's going to be great. There is an element in the demo where you play as Joshua in his Phoenix form, fighting Nacon. I'm not sure who the Nacon is, but I will not spoil that. It was a good fight. It was a good story. It was a good game. And I think many people like it. Unfortunately, because I'm not able to play New Game Plus with the demo, considering it's a demo, it has two different modes. You can go with your story-driven mode, so you're already geared out for combat, or you can go with the action mode, where you must play through the combat, get the equipment and everything.
All right, about to go live, y'all. Finally, there we go. I think it's going to work for the iPad because it wasn't working for the cell phone. But yes, to add to your point, Final Fantasy 16 demo is amazing. I beat the game. I beat the demo. It takes like 2.5 hours to beat. The gameplay is incredible. The boss battles are great, and you can make the game easy for yourself by picking story mode and equipping the rings that let you know when a major attack is about to hit you. And you can dodge, you can parry, you can block, you can do. I mean, there's not a lot of blocking, but there's parrying. And the story is very much influenced by Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin. It's very dark. It's very gritty. It's very violent. There's so many different twists and turns with the story. There's there's betrayal. There's some major character deaths in the beginning of the game. That's just really shocking, but it does happen. It's really, really well written, and the world building is great. And you see it's very mature too. It's probably the most mature, violent Final Fantasy game ever created. And I applaud Square Enix for really stepping up, and probably this could be the best Final Fantasy game since Final Fantasy X. Like, you have to go all the way back to find something this great for the Final Fantasy franchise as far as new games are concerned.
Migrate.
Sure. All right, we're going to move over to the
a little moving. We're moving. We're going to migrate.
Somebody keep this iPad charged. What's up, y'all? Bring the chair over here. All right.
Go get your bag. Go get your bag.
Okay, we are here.
As we were saying about Final Fantasy 16,
but yes,
it is a game that I think Square Enix has really stepped up its ability to really get Final Fantasy out there.
Yeah, there's also some mature like sensuality too between characters. Like it's very adult. It's very adult oriented game. It's and for mature. But yeah, I mean the writing is really good. I'm loving the world building and also like all the those monsters that you could summon in different Final Fantasy games are like a part of
part of the game's story.
They're part of the game's story, but they're it's something different. They get created out of some special abilities that some people have. Like some people can become these monsters. You know, like they have like something in there.
We're going to try to stay spoiler free.
Yeah, spoiler free. But there's like certain characters have like something in like their DNA or whatever where they can become the monster. So it's really great.
If you're gonna go based on the Final Fantasy route, they have the bloodline, which allows them to to become blessed by the very entity that is of that bloodline.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's like some have it worse than others, or it's like. For instance, like some of the characters are looked down upon for having that, and others are not. So, but yeah, it's really interesting.
Well,
I like it.
Well, like in all royal families, you have the ones that are special because they're just, I don't know, somehow further in line with blood, and the other ones is not so much. Well, it follows that concept of
yeah. Well, I mean, to get into spoilers in the demo. The mother. Because you haven't played it. You haven't beaten it.
No, I've beaten it, but let's avoid the spoilers for people who have yet to play it or have not played it yet.
Yeah, but it's really great. There's a mystery with the main character on his parentage because we know who the father is, but you know there's a whole mystery with the mother. So I like it. It's pretty cool.
I'll be honest. I'll be the first one to say this. The main character's mother. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. See. The mother of his brother hates him because he's not her son. But yeah, it's very Game of Thrones in that sense. Like there's like clashes within families. There's betrayals. It's so cool. But I'm not going to get too much into spoilers. But it's very influential. It's very influenced by Game of Thrones and George R. R. Martin's writing. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16, really great. Spent 5 minutes talking about it, and we can move on
5
to.
Minutes? No, we spent about 10 minutes. But
no, 5 minutes.
Not kind of a minute.
Well, for you, it's 8 minutes. I just started 5 minutes. Yeah, this is my technical difficulties, but yeah, the game is just incredible. The game is great, and I'm looking forward to playing it next Friday. When I get the game, I'm probably not gonna leave the house. It looks so great.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you think about the game?
Oh, I thought the game was very unique in the way it was going with the story. Normally, Final Fantasy games, they give you the tutorial and then you fight into the story and get to the point. However, here it actually gave us a snippet of what's coming forward, and then we get to that point in the demo, which I thought was great. Now I have one unfortunate incident. I do use the restroom. I'll be right back.
All right, go ahead.
Your belief on the game, your take on what story.
Well, I think Final Fantasy 16 story is really good. It seems to be probably more accessible than previous Final Fantasy games. The gameplay is great. World building is great. The graphics are incredible. The graphics are insane. Like the cutscenes and the gameplay are exactly the same. That's what's so incredible about the visuals and the graphics. I don't know what kind of game engine is being used for Final Fantasy 16, but it's crazy how I'm playing the game and I'm like, that's gameplay. Like that's not cutscenes. That's gameplay. All right, let me look up what kind of game engine Final Fantasy 16 is using, because that was just crazy. I couldn't believe it that the gameplay's visuals were exactly the same. summon monsters called econs. Econs. That's what the summon monsters are called. Yeah, the summon monsters, which have been a part of Final. The summon monsters, which have been a part of Final Fantasy since the '80s, are like really integral into the story that's going on. But what's the game engine that they're using?
Square Enix. They have a new engine almost every installment. Pardon my absence for the moment.
I'll look it up.
The name for the restroom was an important matter that came up.
Game engine, proprietary engine. There it is, proprietary engine. And they're also using Unreal Engine 4 for other stuff too.
I know Unreal Engine 4 was there because it was advertised.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I just can't believe that the gameplay looks cinematic. I was like, the gameplay visuals were incredible.
Think about it like this. Here's another W for Japan, showing
It's a W for Sony.
Showing the world that you don't need to go Unreal Engine 5 automatically. Just work with what you got until it's good.
Yeah, and also like props to Sony for still working with Square Enix. I mean, Square Enix is one of those studios in Japan that's always been making money for Sony forever. And that's why Sony is keeping Square Enix as close to the best as they can. And the reason why Square Enix chose Sony is because PlayStation 5, as far as game developers are concerned, is running better than the Xbox Series X, even though the Xbox Series X is supposed to be a more advanced system. But this is a good segue into Xbox Showcase. What did you think of the showcase?
Hold on, I need to have a swig. I was blown by what was shown, by the amount of games shown, and by everything that was. I was like, wow, damn. You know, for a console that is supposed to be the strongest, the best in the world, or the best in the entire console competition, we weren't really seeing that since Xbox One Series S and X were announced. Other than
they've had a lot of struggles.
Had a lot of struggles.
Forza Horizon 5 was their most successful, beloved launch. Halo Infinite started off well received, and then it got worse. Redfall was just terrible, and now we got Starfield coming up. But it's
okay. So we're going to speak about Starfield a little bit after.
A lot.
We're going to bring it up.
That was incredible. That was beautiful. But
I'm going to be honest.
I'll say this: the showcase when it started off, I was disappointed because they said that everything we're going to show was not going to be cinematic trailers. And then what do? The first 3 trailers are cinematic trailers. And then they showed a trailer of what's the game with the woman with the schizophrenia? Is it Hellblade?
Yeah,
Hellblade. Yeah, Hellblade 2. That trailer had nothing going on. Right?
No,
that trailer, nothing happened. It was beautiful. It was great. It was artistic, which I like. That's appealing to me. But I'm watching it. It's like nothing's happening in this trailer, and it was so funny. Like I had to go to the Star Trek: Strange New World season 2 premiere, so I left my house early to go to Barnes & Noble to watch the Xbox showcase. I remember just sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, nothing happened in this trailer. I was like, what is going on?
But I was ready for a jump scare.
Yeah, and the Fable trailer was
waiting.
Was a cinematic trailer too.
Before we get to Fable, I was waiting for a jump scare.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I was thinking.
Yeah, and nothing
at
happened.
any moment, boom, right there. Boom,
nothing
right
happened.
there. No, yeah. I expected a hand size come forth at the end of the trailer.
She was looking at glass that turned out to be water.
She went through it. She put her face through it. She went through the water. I was like, is this a whole raid thing going on now?
Oh, what?
Raid thing?
Raid? Oh, yeah. I can see that. It does remind me of The Last Jedi a bit. But it was just like, it was the strangest thing. It was just the weirdest thing. But the Fable trailer was a cinematic trailer. No gameplay, nothing. Well, we don't know when that game is coming out. It could come out in 2025 or 2026. We don't know. The other game that came after that, I forgot the name of it. But that was a cinematic trailer. Nothing happened. And then they showed the cinematic trailer to Star Wars Outlaws, which looks a lot of fun. But it's Ubisoft.
But it's Ubisoft.
Well, it's Ubisoft Massive, who are better than the main Ubisoft people.
Listen, I thought it was your generic, I'm a rebel, I'm going to be a nobody turned into a rebel. I was like, I'm not interested in this shit. I don't want to play as rebels. I strongly despise rebels. I want
to play it. I love the rebels, the good guys. I want to play as this character who's like morally ambivalent. Is just selfish and wants to make money and then she realizes she has to fight against evil and for a good cause. I just want to play an open universe or galaxy Star Wars game, something like Knights of the Old Republic, but it's new, right?
Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Right. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was
if
an open universe, open galaxy type of game that was open world, and it was really much ahead of its time.
I believe
and it was great.
I believe if BioWare was allowed to make a Star Wars: The Old Republic spin-off for consoles, where you're not tied to an online component.
No, the Knights of the Old Republic came out on the Xbox and
No. I'm talking about.
You're talking about the PC game?
I'm talking about the PC game, Star Wars: The Old Republic.
That's not coming to consoles yet.
No, I'm saying if BioWare was allowed to do an open world spin-off of that, where
For
you can choose
consoles and all things,
whatever
yeah.
class, whatever
I wish.
class you want,
Yeah.
you can do that.
I wish.
That would be a moneymaker.
That would be
for
great.
EA.
I would love that.
But the problem is, it's EA.
Well, EA doesn't know how to monetize off of that because if they could try and monetize it the way Activision does it with Blizzard and Diablo games, but EA is kind of
okay. So we're gonna segue into
well,
into
EA
Blizzard
is
here.
EA is done making Star Wars, and they're probably skittish on doing any type of monetization with Star Wars after what happened with Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Well, that's because they had Andrew Wilson in charge heading the ball that shit.
Who never wanted the thing in the first place?
No, it's not Andrew Wilson. It was Patrick Sutherland.
Who never wanted the Star Wars license at all. I don't know what convinced them to do it, but he never wanted it, and so he was stuck with it.
The previous guy before Andrew Wilson got it.
Oh, yeah.
He got it. Because back then it was a huge thing to have that.
Yeah.
But then Disney owns it, and then EA had it, and it was,
Well, EA didn't like the Star Wars license because they had to pay so much money to Disney. They weren't keeping most of that money because it wasn't their own property. Like FIFA is their own property, and they make a shit ton of money off of FIFA.
They may be.
They couldn't do that with Star Wars.
I think they may have lost the FIFA name. I could be wrong.
No, it's still an in-house thing, and same with Madden. It's still an in-house thing. But
so John Madden comes out of his grave after spitting turbo speed after creating so much vision energy.
Yeah. But I just want to play an open world Star Wars game where I can travel, go to different places, and it's new. And what I like about Star Wars Outlaws, it's a lot like Star Wars Ragtag, but the main character is a woman, not a man. And I know a lot of people criticize that because Lucasfilm is so obsessed with having female-centric stuff in Star Wars. It's been done to death. But if Ubisoft Massive can make a really good story and has really good gameplay, most people are not going to care. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm not getting it. Not because she's a woman. Not because she's a smuggler or whatever.
And I like the diversity in the game, too. It's pretty cool.
No, I'm not getting it for any of those reasons. I'm just getting it because I don't want
I'm just saying for me, I like that. I'm just saying for me, I like that. I like the diversity. I like the story. I like to play as a woman. I just hope that the story is engaging and the gameplay is great. And it's Ubisoft Massive, so maybe they won't screw it up. And Ubisoft Massive has had a better run than the main Ubisoft Montreal. And that was the other thing. The Ubisoft thing, the best thing to come out of that was the Avatar thing. The Avatar game looks great, but it looks too much like Far Cry. It's like the gameplay mechanics is copied and pasted from Far Cry, and they're putting it in Avatar, but because you're on Pandora, the game looks incredibly gorgeous, and it's coming out in December 2023, so...
And you're playing as a mother who has to protect her children, but I don't get the concept of where her children are in the story. I don't...
No. You're playing as this young woman that was in cryosleep for 15 years, because of the war with Jake Sully and his girlfriend and the Na'vi in the sky were destroying the humans and driving them off Pandora. And the teacher saved the children's lives because they're going to be executed by the humans. The teacher killed the humans and then put them in cryosleep. And so the woman's in cryosleep for 15 years, and she wakes up and the planet Pandora is like more beautiful than it was 15 years prior. And she has to be reintroduced to all these cultures. It's really the same story as the movies. She's being reintroduced to cultures and is like raised human, but is half Na'vi, and she's between different worlds, so she knows how to use guns, rockets, bow and arrow, and everything, which I think is cool.
We're gonna be fighting the guys from Avatar 2.
Right, basically. We're fighting a different human, different part of that military faction from what Jake Sully was dealing with. Like Jake Sully deals with his own antagonist, and this woman is dealing with her own antagonist.
Okay.
So
I want to say that part that
and it was crazy. This game is
Avatar looks. Here are my thoughts. Let me tell it to you the same way that my father would do it. You're gonna get disappointed.
I don't think so. The game looks good.
It's a Far Cry. It's a Far Cry. It's an Avatar.
The mechanics are
reskin
copied.
of Far Cry.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
the mechanics.
It's just Avatar.
Yeah.
Skin of Far Cry.
That's the problem. Well, that's the problem. It's like a copy and paste, but it's called Avatar.
No.
But if the story is good, if the gameplay and the visuals measure up, especially on the PS5, this could be a well-received game.
I want to say this. I want to say this now. It's going to be a reskin of Far Cry, Avatar style. And if I am wrong, I will accept that I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm right because I say so. There's no way I am right just talking out of
Let's just hope it doesn't have too much of Ubisoft's cliches that people are tired of, like map markers, and yeah, they're gonna have everywhere to go. They're gonna have all these marks everywhere.
Hold your hand and tell you come this way.
You know,
to this part.
although it would be cool, like in Far Cry 6, where you could beat the game in 5 minutes by killing a certain character, right? Like you just could skip everything, kill that one character, and you just beat the whole game. That would be.
I killed the boss.
That would be really, really funny. That would be really, really funny. But but you know what's funny? This Avatar game is coming out December 7th of 2023. There has been no trailers or no promotion for the new Aquaman movie that's supposed to be coming out this month. So this Avatar game could be a successful movie, but it's a game. But it could like dominate the holidays, like Avatar the movie did last year in December. And I find that to be really funny.
I want to say
there's been no promotion for what's coming out in December.
I want to say that
because that Aquaman movie has had a terrible production, and everybody at Warner Bros. Thinks the movie sucks, and they have no high hopes for it. But let's get back to the showcase. What else did you think?
Okay, so when it comes to Avatar, I go, you know what? This is the new Far Cry game. Okay, moving on from that, Spiritfarer. Oh wait, excuse me. Sorry, Payday 3 was launched. Payday 3. Now, for Payday fans, hooray!
That was a cool announcement.
For anybody who is not aware, this is going to be one hell of a fun game.
Yeah.
If you're into bank robberies, stalling out...
Unless it gets Anita Sarkeesian. That's the big worry. Like what happened with Saints Row, that could happen to Payday 3. You know it could happen.
Listen,
trying to appeal to a woman is so irrelevant and so toxic. It's just so stupid. So stupid.
He's a leftist.
Yeah, and she makes some good points. The problem is that when she views anybody that corrects her or say that that's not entirely correct, she views it as toxic or hating or misogynistic. It's like, no, there are other women giving you constructive criticism. Yes, there's misogyny in games with game developers and appealing to a male-dominated audience, mostly at the time. But she was using the wrong type of games, like The Legend of Zelda. Zelda was doing so much to help Link in that game, and she wasn't just a damsel in distress. And then you got Peach, who it feels like a damsel in distress, but she wasn't. She was a queen. She had her own army. She had her own kingdom. And think of how much Bowser had to plan and do to try and go to war with her. So she was a formidable force. She wasn't just a damsel in distress. So there wasn't necessarily anything wrong with what Anita was saying. It was just she was using the wrong games. And she's scared the whole industry into trying to appeal to her when in reality she doesn't play games. She's really not the target audience. And she mostly just, in the end, doesn't know what she's talking about. And she's just as toxic as the people she claims to be toxic. And her fans are toxic. Her fans are crazy. Fucking morons.
I want to say this. The greatest grifter, the greatest woman who is the greatest grifter.
And Quinn's even worse. Quinn. You know, Zoe, what's her name?
Zoe Quinn?
Zoe Quinn's even worse. She took $80,000 from donations to make a video game she never made. Instead, she spent it to go on vacation in Japan for like 2 months. She didn't even make the game.
That's about 62 days, give or take.
Yeah, like she got $80,000 to $100,000 in donations, and she spent it on going to Japan. She didn't even make the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you cater
that's a grift. That's theft too.
Zoe Quinn, Anita Sarkeesian, and what's that other girl's name? I can't remember her name, but an irrelevant person.
Zoe Quinn's the worst.
Zoe Quinn's the worst. You see her, remember, you tell her,
walk the other way.
Walk the other way. You tell her, thief, and walk the other way quick.
Yeah, Yeah.
I mean, it's Sarkeesian. If you see her, you tell her, you dumbass, and walk the other way.
And like every grift, feminist frequency completely fell apart because
they're still getting money.
Yeah, but they completely fell apart. They shut themselves down. Like it's not even. They shut down the whole thing. I mean, they still make videos, but it's not what it was because the viewership went down because she stopped talking about video games and she started talking about other things that people just didn't find any interest, and people just kind of know who she is, you know. But yeah, anyways, back to the Xbox showcase. What else? What else was shown at the Xbox showcase?
Okay, another thing that was strong was the
Liza P. coming to Xbox Game Pass September 20th. Liza P. Looks great. Looks fantastic.
I want to say that the next thing that was talked about was Persona 3 Reload. So for anyone who has
another Persona game
has not played Persona, Persona 3 is a must play. Okay, don't take my word for it just because I played Persona 3. I love Persona. Take my word for it as somebody who loves the narrative, the story, not the message or ideology. The story, the gameplay is phenomenal and it's tied with the story. And for anybody saying, it's not so much that a female protagonist, that's another Persona 3 game that is not denied, but is in the thoughts, in the mind of being remade. Persona 3, I truly applaud as a game people should play. Especially if you're into the Persona, if you recently played Persona 5, Persona 5R, P5R, is it? Persona 3 R.
He's the expert on Persona. It's not my game. I've never played those games.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert. But
I want to play Bayonetta. I want to play Bayonetta 1, 2, 3. They're on the Nintendo Switch, right?
No, 2 is on the Nintendo Wii U and 3 is on the Switch.
Well, the first two games are on the Switch.
No, the first one is PlayStation and Xbox.
No, but Nintendo has imported Bayonetta games to the Switch. Like all 3 games are on the Switch.
Are they?
Yeah.
I'll have to look for that.
They put them all on the Switch, I think.
I'll have to look for it. I don't recall seeing them. But what we're going to look for next is the Avowed.
Okay, so that trailer looked really good, but the game looks fundamentally different than it did last year or 2 years ago. It's like they got a new game developer, and she seems to be pretty good, but the visual look of the game is really different. And I just want to give a shout out to all the female game directors that have been interviewed this week who are making these games. It's really hard for women to make it big in the industry, and we got a lot of female game directors working on these games. There's Avatar is being done by a female game director. Avowed is being done by female game director. So congratulations.
Congratulations to you ladies for making it.
Yeah. This industry is bad. It's really tough on women. It's really bad. We got a lot of terrible game studios.
Well, I want to say there's a lot of terrible game studios.
Yeah.
A lot of terrible game companies.
And minorities.
And a lot of I have no idea what that. We'll get to that.
No, women and minorities and stuff in a lot of these game studios.
I was talking about
and
game
Ubisoft,
studios and game companies. But
and Ubisoft is not perfect either. Ubisoft had their own big time lawsuits and
Ubisoft is a terrible piece of shit. They gotta get rid of Guillermo whatever his name is. The CEO. They gotta get rid of the CEO and put somebody who knows how to fucking play.
Well, the family owns most of the shares, so they're not going to be.
They don't have a son or a daughter that plays games.
No, they have. The whole family owns the company, and the problem is that they're majority shareholders, majority owners. So that CEO is not getting removed unless the family wants him removed. And who's going to replace him? Another member of the family that's probably going to be keeping on with their greedy practices. But yeah, and Activision Blizzard is terrible to its female coworkers as well. So, if you're a woman in that industry and you make it big and you're a game director, congratulations. You've been through the gauntlet,
If you're in the upper echelons management, congratulations.
Yeah. And
if you're somebody who can get a bigger say over Kotick, Bobby over there, please do.
Yeah, but put Bobby
he's
Kotick.
Fucking shit up.
Yeah, Bobby Kotick is a piece of shit. Fuck Bobby Kotick. I don't care if he ever hires me. This piece of shit. But
hire me all right, first thing I want to say to you, boss, fuck you. Next.
And what's the other games from the Xbox Showcase?
The next one after that was the Sea of Thieves.
Okay, another update. Yeah,
another
DLC.
Yes. Flight Simulator 2024.
I'm looking forward to the Dune thing. Yeah, because I'm going to see that movie 5 times in theaters. I would love to fly on Dune. I would love to fly around in that ship.
The little whatever dragonfly.
Yeah, I finished reading the book recently, and I finished reading the book 2 days before I saw the new trailer for part 2 of Dune, which adapts the second half of the book. And there's so many images from that movie that just came straight out of the book. So that's pretty cool that Microsoft is kind of cashing in on that. Flight Simulator, Dune, Arrakis to get to fly around Dune. That's going to be fun. I like that. I'm looking forward to that.
Now, I want to mention that there's a Forza
Motorsport. More Forza.
More Forza. Now, I want to mention Like a Dragon 8. Or,
okay, what do you think about that?
Infinite Wealth.
What do you think about it?
I'm not sure what to think about it. I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm like, there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of expectation. Want to say that because when it comes to the fan base for Like a Dragon, the fan base is, the expectations are high for any franchise, especially for something well beloved, has been long standing, long running. Your fan base gets very protective, should we say, about such things. And I'm excited about what potentials are going to come into the game, into the franchise. It looks promising from the trailer. And I want to mention another thing, because we're not going to stay on it too long. Fallout 76 is going to have a new update. It's called Atlantic City. Atlantic City.
What game again?
Fallout 76.
Oh, yeah, that. Okay. Another update for that. I do appreciate Microsoft just keeping these franchises going. Like Elder Scrolls is getting another expansion too this month.
Yes. Now, another game.
Oh, and speaking of Ubisoft, Skull and Bones is finally getting a beta test. After 6 years of development, 10 years if you include 2013, because they came up with the idea, they got put into Assassin's Creed game, and then they decided to turn onto a game in Ubisoft Singapore, and they can't cancel the game because the government of Singapore is giving money to the studio to make the game. And if they cancel it, the government loses a shit ton of money. So they got to keep it going. And I feel bad for that studio. Those people are being forced to work on the shittiest production for years and years and years.
That studio is going to get shut down.
No, you know what? If the game comes out and it flops, which we think it will, it's probably going to be a terrible game. It's probably not going to be well received. The sales are probably going to be shit. And if it's shit, then the studio is going to shut down, and then the government is just going to cut its losses. I don't know how they're going to get their money back, but but I do hope the game is a success because it looks interesting. I hope it's a good game. I hope it sells 10 million copies. I hope it brings in whatever microtransactions so that studio can stay around and just keep working on that game for like 10 years.
I'm on the other end where I believe that Ubisoft is just going to axe them.
They're never going to make a sequel to that game. They're just going to keep adding expansion to Skull and Bones. And
That's just terribly sad. That's a waste of resources. Anyways.
It's just such a troubled game. But we've had games.
It's so bad. It's so bad. It makes I don't want to say it. Fallout 76 look like a saint.
No, well, we don't know that because we haven't played the game yet. It could still be a good game. It could be a well-received game. There are games with bad productions that became great, like Dragon Age Inquisition, terrible production, turned out to be a great game. Red Dead Redemption 2, terrible production, masterpiece of a game. And then there's The Last of Us Part 2, terrible production, workers forced into crunch, was a great game. And From Software forces all their workers into crunch, mistreat all their workers and their female co-workers, underpay everybody and overwork everybody, except for Hidetaka Miyazaki, who made it big because he proved himself by creating a whole new genre. But the games come out great, even though, it's just a reality for most game studios. The only game studio that doesn't crunch their workers is Insomniac Games. Insomniac is the only studio that doesn't crunch their workers.
Okay, another game that was released was Path of the Goddess.
Okay.
It's a new game coming from Capcom. I'm excited about it.
Overwatch, I don't care about.
Well, Overwatch 2 is going to get the PvE update, which is going to be a paid expansion.
Yeah.
Kind of expansion paid. You pay for it. You get 3 missions. That's coming somewhere around in August, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then you have the Persona Mastery. That's coming out November 17th.
Well, that's another Persona game. Yeah. And Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty looks incredible. I mean, that whole area, what's it called again? When you go into the stadium, what are they calling it again? I got to look at the name of this location.
I forgot what it's called.
It's called, I don't know if it's called the Forge.
I haven't played Cyberpunk in a while because I've been focused on Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4.
Yeah, I'm playing. I got back into playing
GTA 5 lately. I'm just running business in GTA 5. I did not realize GTA 5 was going to become a business simulator. Now I have 2 options: either the lead GTA or just play it.
Yeah, and Phantom Liberty is starting to look like the game that should have been, which is proof that the game should have been delayed into 2022 or 2023 instead of being forced by the shareholders, investors to come out in 2020 when the game was clearly not ready. But yeah, the expansion is a whole new area. I'm trying to look up the name of the place. Let's see. And I already pre-ordered the game, which is like $30. The story expansion is $30. I already bought it. I pre-ordered it.
Can't forget the screen protector for the computer. Well, while he's looking up the area, I do want to mention that the game looks phenomenal. It looks like how the game should have looked from the start. It looks exactly the way that they had hyped it out to be, made it sound like it would be. That's what it does.
Dogtown, that's what it's called. Dogtown. And it looks so great. There's so many features and so many new, like it's a whole new area. It looks very messy, but also beautiful at the same time. It's very cluttered. And there's also an area where this guy's selling guns, and this guy got like a shit ton of guns all behind him, and he's just selling it. And he also blow fire out of his elbows and stuff. He's got like flamethrowers attached to his elbows and stuff. Like, it just looks so cool. And when it comes out, it might be broken. There's going to be bugs and glitches because with every story expansion, every update, there's going to be some type of bug or glitch. But I love that they promoted Paulo Sasco. I'm glad. I don't know if they fired some of the people that were working on Cyberpunk at the time, but I'm good. But Paulo Sasco was the quest designer. He wasn't the game director. The game director of the base game I don't know if he's still working at CDPR or if he left, but he's not working on the game anymore. And Paulo Sasco is the lead designer and not. I don't know.
Take a moment, catch your breath, catch your thoughts.
I don't know if he's like the lead designer and the lead developer and quest designer and storyteller on Phantom Liberty. I don't know if he's the lead game director, but he's basically been promoted, and that's good because he's a really, really good writer. The quests and the side quests that he wrote for Cyberpunk 2077 were incredible. So I'm looking forward to that. The game just looks great, and Johnny Silverhand is back, and you might get a new ending in the game because of the expansion because this woman named, I think her name is Raybird, or
about the president, the supposed president of the game?
No, the new character called Bird is trying to look for a cure for V and the chip in her brain, his or her brain.
Mind you, I want to say this is an expansion, but it's also a in between from when you have the chip to when you get to the part of destroying a stock tower.
Yeah. But whatever you do when you complete it, it will give you a new ending. So maybe V might not die with the virus. Like he or she might actually survive. So that's really cool.
Find the name yet?
I'm about to look her up.
I don't want to move on forward if you're gonna look for this stuff and then find it and then be like, oh, we gotta backtrack back to that. So when you twist your neck like that, going out to it, you turn your neck far, and then tilt. You get the crack if you're able to. You do it once, twice, maybe 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah, I'm trying to find
once to 5 times. I can do a total about 3 or 4.
We know President Myers. Songbird. That's her name. Songbird. Yeah. She's supposed to like find a cure for you in the game.
Isn't that also a Marvel character?
No, it's the name of the character in Cyberpunk.
No. But in Marvel, is there a character? I know someone.
Yeah. There is a character in Marvel called Songbird. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But anyways, that's the character. We're gonna move on from Cyberpunk because I like to get this done before we get to the hour mark. The next game another game that was also announced was Jusant.
Yeah.
That's from the developers that is Life is Strange. Now, I'm not entirely sure what type of game it'll be. Will it be more of an open adventure, an exploration, narrative kind of thing like Life is Strange? We have to wait and see for that one. There's a game called Still Wakes the Beat. Now, if you're into, I suppose, more of a free roaming kind of harbor type genre, that would be a perfect game for you to check it out. The trailer actually had me a little confused, and then all you see the shadow. I'm like, oh, okay, this is definitely Jaws all over again, old Deep Blue Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Another game was Dungeons of Hinterberg, which is gonna be fun. It's a cel-shaded skateboarding sword fighting game. It's gonna be quite interesting if you're into that type of genre where you get to have the moment of a skateboard, but you can also sword fight. It's gonna be quite interesting indeed. Now, Cities Skylines 2 is launching this October. That's another game that was announced at the Xbox showcase. If anyone's played City Skylines, it's a fun city building type game.
Yeah.
City Skylines 2, I'm excited to see what new features they have added to it, how far their imagination and creativity has gone. Plus, I wonder if they've added new structures, new buildings, new things to put in the map.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna move from there. Another game is Metaphor Red Fantasio. That looks beautiful. That is a game worth getting day one on Game Pass.
Yeah, it looks good. But the games I'm looking forward to the most would be Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. I'm playing on my PS5 and I'm still playing it on my Xbox Series X.
Okay, so before we get into Cyberpunk and what we're excited for, another game was Towerborn. It's a game created by the creators of the Banner Saga.
Yeah.
That is going to be promising for people who are fans of the Banner Saga and its studio that created it. There's a lot to look forward to there. Now, another game was Clockwork Revolution, which is a time-bending steampunk RPG.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're into steampunk genre settings, type games, and locations, and the idea of bending time and reality is up your alley, you're going to have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah. And so Liza P for me, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty. Those are two of the best things to come out of the showcase. But the really best thing, came after the showcase, which was Starfield. That game looks incredible. It looks beautiful. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic because Todd Howard lies. Bethesda games have been broken since Skyrim.
Well, I want to say this. Because you're saying that Todd Howard lies. Yes, the guy does lie. It just works. It's not a go-to.
And I don't believe him when he says there's 1,000 planets. I don't believe him.
I'm going to say this.
There's probably 100 planets, but the rest of them are probably like skin planets where they're just barren. There's nothing to do.
I'm just going to say this. Matt Moody. Was it Matt Moody? Whoever's in
charge of the game studios.
Yes. He said that, it's going to come out with, it's going to be like, no problems. What he's basically, in a nutshell, he's basically saying the game's going to be without problems, without flaws.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe him. This is Bethesda. Every game Bethesda has ever made has had bugs.
Yeah, well, specifically since Oblivion. Oblivion probably did not have that many bugs. Skyrim was broken on launch. And I love Skyrim. It's a masterpiece. And the reason why I got great reviews at one game of the year, because the story was great, the storytelling, the world building, the NPCs, the routines, where everything you did had a consequence. And the NPCs routine for 2011 is so advanced even to this day. Like, I remember I bumped into a bunch of NPCs on the road, and they asked me, hey, you want to come with us to go kill a dragon? And I'm like, no, I got to go over here. So then they walked away. But I decided to follow them just to see if they're actually going to go kill a dragon. So I followed them. And then they got to the dragon, and before you know it, I'm in the middle of a dragon fight. And I got to help them because the dragon's there, and they're on their own. So I helped them kill the dragon, and they thanked me, and they give me some money or something. But it was like, holy shit. You can follow a character, and they're going to do something that they're going to do.
And they're going to die if you don't help them with
that. Right, and they're going to do it. They're just going to do it. And the only problem that makes Skyrim outdated is that whatever you do that's major doesn't really get acknowledged afterwards. Like, you just saved Skyrim from dragons, and nobody is thanking you. No one is telling you, hey, thanks for saving us from dragons. Like, what's so incredible about The Witcher 3, and especially the expansion of Blood and Wine, you saved Toussaint from an evil vampire that was trying to kill everybody, a bunch of vampires. And everybody is thanking you after you kill the vampire and you save everybody and it's over, it's ended. And, everywhere you go, everyone's like, oh, look, there's Geralt the Witcher that saved us from the vampires. Thank you so much. And you can hear it in the dialogue, and CDPR is a smaller studio, and yet they gave more attention to detail with stuff like that than Bethesda, which has way more developers than CDPR.
Mind you, as of now, they have way more fun.
And way more now. Yeah.
Way more fun.
But Starfield, the NPC routine is there. Some of the graphics are a little bit rough, but the graphics are way better than they were last year. The NPCs,
the gunplay movement,
the gunplay is better.
Looks a lot smoother.
It looks like the NPCs are responding to you and trying to attack you. But here's my thing is that as beautiful as it is, the graphics are great, and the customization on the spaceship, that's going to be crazy.
Oh, that's going to be so much fun.
People are going to be obsessed with that. People are going to be obsessed with that.
They also spent a great deal saying how character customization is going to be open to the point where you can do whatever you want for your character's appearance.
I'm going to do that too. I'm going to play as a woman. I'm going to play as a black woman with a mohawk, and her name will be Shaniqua.
I've got no comments there.
I will be playing as Shaniqua. But
no comments there.
It's going to be great. I can't wait to create that character and play as her. September 6th is coming out, which is a Wednesday. And I wish I would pre-order the game, but because I don't trust Bethesda, I don't want to. But I really want that box with the watch. It's like, it looks so cool.
Pre-order problem.
That looks so cool. That box and the watch, I want that watch so badly. Hopefully I can find that somewhere on eBay or something, because that suitcase and that watch looks so great.
I highly doubt it.
I will say this.
What I am concerned, is that suitcase and that watch going to be real?
Well,
or is it going to be trash bag?
It comes with the system, and it's like $500. You're pre-ordering with the Xbox, with the box, and with the watch, with the game. It's like, let's hope it doesn't poison people like what happened with Fallout 4.
76?
76. I thought it was Fallout 4, but 76, where the helmet was poisoning people with lead or something. It was like
76 was the one with the bag. I think 4 was the helmet.
Yeah, 4 was the helmet. Yeah, the helmet was getting people sick. That was with Fallout 4. Then they had to call back, of course, fix that. But
call it back. Yeah, we're gonna get it back out to you in like 3 months.
But here's my issue with Starfield, and I saw it in the trailer. I saw in the whole review in the end. Those artifacts are connected to aliens, and I feel like the game is going to go from like hard sci-fi to science fantasy, because the artifacts you get from the aliens are going to give you special abilities to like levitate stuff and to be like almost a powerful like deity or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but this is the kind of thing with Bethesda. They're a fantasy game studio that make fantasy games. And you're trying to get a fantasy-centric minded game writers and studios to write science fiction, but they're writing science fiction like fantasy. So it's more like science fantasy and like Star Wars than hard sci-fi, which is what it should be. Now, Fallout was science fiction, and they did their best, but even that had more fantasy elements than it probably should have, But, yeah.
I want to say this. Bethesda, I hope you deliver on Starfield. I hope so.
Me too.
I want to play this game with a smile on my face, knowing that everyone who's saying that Xbox needs to deliver competition, they need to deliver games, they can eat their words, knowing that Starfield is one of the greatest Xbox exclusives out. But it's also one of the greatest games ever made by Bethesda in 2021, 2, and 3.
What?
Well, when was Starfield first developed?
Well, it's been in development since 2017. So it's coming out this year. So it's been 6 years development.
So since 2017. So a game that's been in 6 years of development, that people will be able to say this game took 6 years to make and it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, it needs to be
that's
a great
what
game.
I want.
Yeah. I mean, it needs to be so great that it's going to be in competition for Game of the Year. I mean, I think Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is going to win Game of the Year. I think that's just it. That game is just ridiculous.
Tears of the Kingdom is by far definitely.
Yeah. I think, yeah. But Starfield, but the only competition that Tears of the Kingdom could have, if Final Fantasy 16 gets the best reviews next to Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16 could be the first Final Fantasy game to win Game of the Year in like a number of years. Mm-hmm. And then you got Starfield, which would also be in competition. So maybe Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom won't sweep everything like Breath of the Wild because Elden Ring swept the major awards last year. They won Game of the Year at GDC. They won Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards, the Game Awards, and another game or Game Award organization as well. So it won from the Big Four. So did Breath of the Wild. So did Skyrim. So Elden Ring is one of 3 games that ever pulled that off. Tears of the Kingdom could be the 4th game, and if not, it will because it has real competition with Final Fantasy 16 and Starfield.
Well, I want to say this, and I know people are going to disagree with me. You'll most likely. The Game Awards are going to be based upon what the people that are choosing at the awards, what they like more, not what we fans like.
Yeah, but what they like is what we like.
Not entirely.
Yeah, they do.
No, not entirely.
They're mainstream. That's what I love about the Game Awards. That's why they're so popular now because you have fans of video games voting on video games. And, the fans might feel differently, but there's a lot of fans. Like The Last of Us Part 2 was polarizing when it came out in 2020, but there were a lot of people that loved that game, thought it was great. There were a lot of people who didn't. And so, it won Game of the Year Game Awards, and won Game of the Year the Golden Joystick Awards. It lost in other award shows against other games that were great, like Ghost of Tsushima and Hades as well. But yeah, the Game Awards is great because it's voted on by fans, who a lot of them are journalists, but they're fans too.
There you go. Keyword right there, journalists.
They're journalists, but they're fans too. They might not like toxic gamers. I don't like toxic gamers, but
I want to mention this. If your career is journalism, you need a new job. AI is here.
Yeah, a lot of journalists, gaming journalists, stuff are getting fired, shut down left and right, and it's only because they make gamers the enemy when they probably shouldn't. You can't generalize the whole demographic because of a bunch of scumbags on Twitter and Reddit. Like, you can't take 100,000 scumbags and make it like that's millions of gamers. Like there's a billion gamers out there. There's billions. There's
billions of gamers.
There are billions of gamers.
We'll use billions.
Yeah. And most of them are just not like those people on social media. It might feel that way, but it's not the case. So.
Now, anyways, we've been on this for nearly an hour. We kind of want to get this under the hour. We don't want to bore you with our chatter of agreements and disagreements and what we think is great. Exciting.
And before we move on, I want to say I love the RPG mechanics of Starfield. With the guns, the suits, the way you level up your character, it looks incredible. Yes. That was the type of showcase I wish we could have gone at E3. But because these studios are doing everything online and from home, they can do that. They're not on a time limit like at E3 where Bethesda only have 90 minutes and we got to show all of our games for 90 minutes. So we can't do a showcase on just one game. But for Starfield, they're able to do a 45-minute showcase. And when the game comes out, I'm going to play it, and then we get ready for Elder Scrolls 6. Oh, and Skyrim Grandma is also in the game. There's a ship that you're talking to, that you're communicating with, that's run by Grandma, which is Skyrim Grandma. And hopefully she'll live long enough to play Elder Scrolls 6. I don't know, but she's going to be 90 years old pretty soon,
God bless that woman. Almost 90 years old, God bless her. And God willing, she has many more years to come by, too.
Yeah.
Hopefully when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, she's able to play it.
Yeah, and that Elder Scrolls 6 isn't coming out.
She's able to finish it, too.
And Elder Scrolls 6 isn't coming out until, 2027, at the earliest. Because these games from Bethesda are now taking 5 to 8 years to get made,
Well, I'm going to say this. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. A lot of games today are oversaturated with employees doing the same thing. However, it's on a larger scale. I understand that. Though at the same time, I feel that there might be too many employees. The concept is too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And there's too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to development.
Bethesda, the problem with Bethesda is that their game engine is getting old. So now they're trying to update it and turn to Creation Engine 2. And I hope they don't use Unreal Engine 5 or 4 because as much as I love that game engine, Unreal Engine games that are done by Unreal Engine, a lot of them have the same look. Most of them kind of have that same Unreal visual look. Bethesda games have a unique aesthetic. They have the most unique aesthetic.
The
most unique,
your identity.
A very unique aesthetic and a unique facial expressions. Like those character animation faces that everybody's criticizing in Starfield, they look. Oh, sorry. they look like they look like it was on the table. They look like Bethesda unique animation. Like that guy who was like fanboying over you on Starfield with the blonde hair was from Oblivion that they put into the game. Only Oblivion can have that. Like only Bethesda can do that. And it was so hilarious when I saw that guy. I was like, I recognize that guy. He's from Oblivion. Holy shit. But only Bethesda can do that.
My first thought when I saw him was, oh God, not you again.
Oh my God, it was so funny. That was just too funny. When I saw him, it was so funny.
I was like, I hope you get more fans other than this one guy who's just so obsessed with you. Your air. I need to breathe every particle. I'm thinking, okay, that's way too much. Get away.
By the way, Bethesda also says that Starfield is their first new IP in like 25 years. What was their last IP?
Elder Scrolls was no longer.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls came out in 1994.
Fallout 4 came.
Fallout was done by other people before they acquired it.
Yeah. What was the name of that freaking game? I don't remember anything. I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't remember right now.
Hold on, I think I'm about to find it. Was it Zero Critical?
25 years ago.
Symbiocon. 1998. I'm looking at 98 right here.
98.
It would be Zero Critical.
I think
That would have to be it. Yeah.
Yes.
Zero Critical.
Mm-hmm.
And I never played that game because I did not have a PC
Well,
for it.
It was on OS and Windows. Same thing with Symbiocon.
Yeah, that must have been it.
Those were excitingly different games. Now, Zero Critical, if they were to remake the game or add a new installment, it'd be nice. But
maybe it wasn't Zero Critical. Hold on, I got it.
Symbiocon or Zero Critical, I believe it was.
Symbiocon.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen,
that was a sequel, so it wasn't new IP. Unless it's Magic and Mayhem, which I don't think it is.
No, because then it would be 24.
Well, it's one of those two.
One of those two,
yeah.
25 years would be 24. Go back to 97 would be 24. 96. Skynet?
Skynet is Terminator.
No, it's different studio. One of
no,
those.
Skynet is Terminator. Yeah.
Oh, yes,
yeah. And that was a good game. I remember that. Yeah. Okay, I'll look it up later. I'll ask it on Reddit.
We'll find out later. So we're not just on the phone.
But Action Burger is closed. It's 1 o'clock. So
well, yes, it is. All right.
I guess we're gonna have to wrap this up.
Again, this is Steve's Thoughts Nerd Talk with Brian J's Nerd Talk.
Yes, Brian J's Nerd Talk. Y'all.
Please leave a like down below. Subscribe if you like this content. Content like this, leave a like. Feel free to comment. And we will be covering, well, at least I will be covering another topic maybe tomorrow, because there is a lot of topics to cover. And when it comes to thoughts and nerd talk,
June is full of game news and game releases. Since E3 is mostly gone, these game studios use the month of June to make all the big announcements. But Xbox, and I love the PlayStation 5. I do love Sony's games for the most part, and their mentality is narrative-driven games, and I can appreciate that. But I will have to admit, Xbox really did kick their asses, because that PlayStation showcase was a massive disappointment, and Xbox just kicked ass. They did. They really kicked ass this past Sunday, and bravo to them. Hopefully their games reach the hype. Kudos to them. Hopefully their games reach the hype. Starfield has to be great now. That's what it has to be.
So it's not just Starfield. It's every single game that they announce for Game Pass needs to be
great.
Yeah.
Well, some of them could be disappointing, but Starfield especially needs to be great. There's a lot of pressure on that game.
Yes. Now, I don't know tomorrow. Well, we're gonna work something out about making a video for the Capcom event, the VR event, and I forget there was another event.
We could make a video this Sunday.
Okay. So this Sunday we'll do a video for Capcom. For the Capcom showcase that they had. I know there was a VR showcase, and I know there was another showcase after the Xbox.
Yeah.
There was like 3 more showcases, but we'll do videos on those.
All right.
Expect a video from Steve's Thoughts Nerd Talks either tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, maybe Saturday, in regards to some other topics that are currently going on regarding nerd culture. Excuse me.
Oh, and I got my Saturday pass for New York City Comic Con.
I am not buying a Comic Con pass. Those things are way too expensive.
I got so lucky. I had the money. I bought a Saturday pass. This is my first Saturday since 2021, and I get to go to the panel for Star Trek Discovery, which is a show I don't like, but I love the cast and I love those panels. They're, that's the funny thing. Their panels for that cast are fucking hilarious. They are just way too funny.
$200+ is just not worth
it.
No.
One Saturday is $94.
No, I looked at it. It was really good. It was up there.
No, Saturday is $94.
Standalone?
Yeah, I got a standalone, and I'll get the Sunday pass the week of. I'm not like I'll go there to get the Sunday pass on the week of.
I'll consider it. I'll contemplate it. I'll see.
Because Sunday at New York State Comic Con is Star Trek Day for Star Trek fans and cosplayers. So I will be in cosplay, and we will be doing photo shoots on Sunday. Sunday, that's usually the day, either Sunday or Saturday. That's usually the day.
Well, moving on.
And I will be having a Star Trek uniform. Yeah.
Oh, wow. We're going to find a guy in pajamas here.
Yep.
Anyways, leave a like down below. Leave a like, comment, hit that notification button to keep up to date with what's going on.
Yep.
Again, this is Steve's Thoughts Nerd Talk.
All right, it's Brian J's Nerd Talk. Talk to y'all later. Live long and prosper.